Good morning. Yeah, it's time to wake up. I know it's early. It's still 5:26 in the morning, Friday this time. But anyway, I'm John. The guy sitting next to me here is T. This is the Life Roast. And if you're not sure what we do here, you're new to the situation, what we do is we take a little peek outside the box. We encourage you to do so. Get a little uncomfortable and challenge the social norm a little bit, And so today we're going to be talking about something that's really close to both of us here, and it's the extremes of health, right? And we can talk about so many different things here, but we're going to talk about the different sides and the way that our culture and society has gone, and the pressures and all these different things. And so health extremes.
Yeah. I mean, so many different ways, because I am the epitome of this conversation. I have been the health of extremes of being in super great shape, and then have gotten to a point where when I look back at photos, I can't believe I allowed myself to get to that level. From sports as a kid and in college to just being sedentary and laying on the couch and not thinking, there's no way, I don't need to move. So I've looked at them all. I've done them all. I haven't done certain ones, but like health extremes that pops up to me is this gastrosurgery. Like, we have gotten to a point in society where we came up with a solution that says, I can't do it on my own, so I will have my stomach stapled or cut off or whatever, however they do it. And because that's supposed to help me lose weight, and that's phenomenal. And it does a phenomenal job. I've heard a lot of success, but when I think about what we're trying to do, we literally have surgery and they cut our stomach in half. Like, biologically, we make a change to our physical form. Like, okay, that's pretty damn extreme.
That is pretty extreme.
I think a better way to say that one, and I'm having a little fun with this. So if you've had this surgery, the bariatric surgery, more power to you. But why don't we just cut our arms off? Because then I can't put the food in my mouth. There's things like that where I'm like, wow, I don't even know how this came to be a thing, but someone thought this was a great idea. I'm sure there'll be ramifications later on, but we'll find out.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that's the extreme of that side of things, period, right? And we talk about surgery and we talk about the drugs that people take. And, some of them, and one of the big ones now, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say it without getting in trouble.
The special pill, because we don't have rights to say the name, but
we all know what we're talking about, right? But stuff like that, where like evidence starts coming out later on, it's like this miracle cure for what we're doing. And then like, oh no, wait a second. There's some issues that come along with it. And now we got to say, okay, well, am I willing to go to this extreme and sacrifice all these other little side effects, right?
Yep.
To lose weight or whatever it ends up being, and that's not the only one. But you're right. Like, why? Like, to what extreme are we willing to go to one side or the other? And why? Like, how did we even get there? Like, how did we think any of that was a good idea?
I don't know. I think what it is as a society or as an individual, comes back to what we talk about all the time. It's the judgment. We're supposed to look a certain way. We're supposed to act a certain way, and we get sucked into this feeling of what everyone should be. And, okay, great. Back in the 60s and the 70s, they came out with the food pyramid, and they said you should have so much bread and so much this and so much this. And now they're refuting all that, saying that was the dumbest thing in the world. And it makes absolutely no sense. And, to have this much bread and this much cheese and like, doesn't make sense. So it's like, okay, we've played all sides of the spectrum. And here's my big one that I love. And we say, how do we get here as a society? Like, this would be a weird conversation, at least in my eyes. My favorite class was gym, physical education. And I found a stat online that said there are only 5 states, 5 out of 50, that still require physical education daily in schools. Like 5. So 45 states don't require physical education daily. My son just is starting a new high school. He'll be a freshman this year. And when we signed him up for his classes, gym is only required 1 semester of all 4 years of high school. So it's like, hey, being physical is not important at this school. It's more about, it's education and smartness, but that's fantastic. And oh, by the way, you can forego taking gym class if you play a sport. So that's a credit. You just You could check the box, no gym class needed for you because you played whatever, track.
Well, in reality, the sport's probably more active than gym class nowadays anyways. But
and I'm sure it is, but that's where I was like looking at it saying, I throw the shot put. I'm on the track team. I throw the shot put. So I work in a little tiny circle. And granted, they're athletes and they work their balls off to push this stone, rock, whatever. But my point there is we've set it up to say, don't worry, you don't need to take gym class. You don't need to be physically active here because you played a sport. And this starts at a young age. We teach these kids, like, don't worry, you can sit on your ass.
Well, look, so this is one of the stats that I got, right? Percent of adults age 18 and older who met the physical activity guidelines for both aerobic and muscle strengthening activity is only 24.2%.
And what does that mean, though?
So the CDC has a standard, right? And for CDC, stuff like that,
we're going to use them.
I'm not saying that I condone what the CDC says. Listen, this is why I bring it up, though, because their standard is like 120 minutes a week of X and 60 minutes a week of like strength training, and what they have the standard.
Right.
That says, like, if you do this, this is your baseline, like, physical health. Like, this is the amount of activity that you need to be a human being. I don't know. They get to determine that.
Right.
Right. Because
they're the government. They know what they're talking about.
But what I'm saying is, like, that standard's pretty low to begin with. So, like, it's baseline. And they're saying only 24% of people even meet that. Right.
Okay. Right.
And then you look at gym classes and it's like, what do you do in gym class? Like, now you just sit around, like, you don't even have to participate.
Right.
So why not take gym class?
Yeah. You don't even have to change.
You don't even, well, you can't change. Right. Oh, right. I'm not going to get into that, but yeah. So, like, the standard has gotten so low, and we just, it's like this extreme where, you look at the videos. I like this part because I come across these videos of these recordings from, like, back in the 50s or 60s, maybe even earlier. It's black and white. I don't know when color TV came out, but it was black and white. And it was the schools where they had, during gym class, they were outside and they were doing, like, the obstacle courses and the pull-ups and climbing the 20-foot rope, the death rope, they called it, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd fall onto this 2-inch mat, right? And you climb, and it was extreme, right? And you had these, like, ripped teenagers in school everywhere, and now nothing, right? And so it's like the polar opposite. And that's kind of like what I'm getting at is we go from one extreme to the other extreme and then back and then forth. And we talk about the yo-yo diets and, it's okay to be fat. It's not okay to be fat. It's okay to be healthy and fit, and it's not okay to be fit. And you like the judgment on both ends of it. It's just crazy.
Well,
like on
either end. I love that in that the extremes of both sides, but how many times have you watched her, and you know this because I'm the yo-yo guy from the up and down in the health extremes, but you maintain more of a healthy lifestyle. My wife maintains more of a healthy lifestyle, and to go out at a restaurant, and it used to bug me too until finally I started to realize, like, wow, it's pretty annoying. Like, if you choose that life and you want to be healthy, the other side condemns you. Like, you go to a restaurant and you order a salad. Like, okay, so order a salad. That's fantastic. That's what you enjoy eating. But everyone will be like, you're not going to eat something worse. You're not going to get a cheeseburger.
Get something greasy.
You're not going to get fries. You're not going to, like, well, no, but I didn't tell you. You can't get it. Like, okay, so and my wife will actually do it with me because it's funny. I'm the guy that says, okay, can I not only get the fries, but can I get the cheese on it, and can I get the bacon, and can I get all the the extras? And now I'll go in and order salad because I am trying to watch, because I feel like shit all the time because I got pretty damn big. Where I order a salad and she goes, "Excuse you? Did you just order a salad?" Like, I know it's weird to watch, but she was so used to me just saying, "Okay, I'll have a cheeseburger, I'll have the fries, and give me an appetizer. I'll do the calamari. I can't decide. Give me the extra, the chicken fingers or whatever." So we get to those extremes of the back and forth, but
and I have clients all the time who are telling me that, like, going out with friends, it's hard for them to order water and eat a salad.
Right.
Like, because they get made fun of. And it's like, when did we totally flip track here?
Yep.
Right. Like, it used to be the total opposite of it. Now it's like people are being ostracized for, like, water. Who drinks water? Are you sure? Are you sure that's all you want? You don't want, like, you don't want this soda with unlimited refills?
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Well, I think those are the extremes. I'll take it to the next level too, because now that I'm more into working out, it's like, okay, well, I watch some of these videos and these dudes are jacked, like jacked, and they're like, oh, I'm all natural. Bullshit, you're all natural.
Hey.
So then there's that side of it. Like, there's no frigging way a human being can get to the size they are. So now they've gone to the other side of the extreme with the steroids and the human growth hormones and the peptides and the this and the that. And okay, more power to you. Hey, you want to go that direction? Go that direction. But it's like, well, which one's the better way, and which one's I don't know. It's like if I took the left side and the right side and started working towards the middle, where is the middle? Like, what is healthy?
Well, but that's the thing. So this is, I don't. It's getting smaller. That's for sure. Like the middle ground in places like this is getting smaller. And I feel like this is the direction that a lot of things are going, like polar opposites, extremism, right? So now you're seeing you don't see too many people that are in the middle there anymore. It's either 100% body positivity and enjoy life and you only live once. And then you have the other side of the extreme where you got guys doing pull-ups with bikes attached to their belt doing weird videos on YouTube and they're just jacked and on steroids or whatever. And it's like, can we just can we find a middle ground? Because that'd be cool. It's like everybody on this end is worried about being judged about leaving their circle, and everybody on this end is worried about being judged and leaving their circle and not being extreme and finding another way of doing things. And it's just, and then the two worlds like butt heads. It's like, well, oh, you're fat phobic. Oh, well, you're a sloppy piece of shit, right? Like, and they start bickering back and forth, and it's like not literally, but sometimes, right? But like the mentality is like it's two sides of the same thing, right? Mm-hmm. And there's like, we're losing the middle ground, which is really where I think is the most amazing place to be, right? Because like I work out 5 days a week, but I also eat pizza and stuff, right? Like I like having a bowl of cereal once in a while. I like to, I like ice cream, right? But I also like to work out a lot because I like what it does for me.
Well, but I think that's where society itself, and this is the part, again, that I'm learning, because I can't stress it enough. I got 50 years on this earth, and probably 49 and a half of them have been just live, just enjoy. You want to eat it. Screw it. You know what? When it's my time, it's my time. But I'm noticing now that I don't do that. I wake up easier. I move easier. My joints don't hurt as much. I'm exercising on a regular basis. I'm not jamming everything in my face. I'm not eating to exhaustion, but I miss it. I mean, to go to a restaurant and order a salad, I'm not ordering a salad with salmon on it because I'm punishing myself. I'm realizing that when I push away from the table before, I did get the fries, and I did get the cheeseburger, and I did get the appetizers, and I felt like crap, and I slept like crap. Okay, so I'm learning, but it's like, okay, at what level now do I stop? Do I just enjoy? Okay, I can have a cheeseburger if I want it. Do I have to be shamed because I ate a cheeseburger? I mean, I'm in this world now from the gym side where I have people tell me you got to stop doing things. You got to stop eating sugar, and you got to stop. Like, I get it. It's not good for you, but fuck that. I'm going to still enjoy a cheeseburger, and I'm going to enjoy it. I love my little Debbie's. Aunt Debbie, I love you. But like, why can't we just say, okay, I'm in the middle ground? It's like, nope, you either have to go to one side or the other, and based on someone's stupid ass rule or whatever it is, societal's like, okay. And then, not to keep on stealing it,
no, but you're good.
Like the whole push now to what's this body positivity? Like, I am who I am, and here's my size, and I shouldn't be judged. Like, no one should judge based on your physical appearance, but let's not fool ourselves. When I got close to 300 pounds, I was miserable. Like, I couldn't go up 5 steps, let alone a flight of steps. And everything I ate hurt. I started to get the what I call the fat man's disease, but it was me, gout. Like, why did my feet hurt so bad? And like, why did I always have headaches? Well, I started to figure out, because you eat like shit, dude. So it was like, okay, I learned this stuff, but how has society gotten to a point where now we praise people, or we say, okay, be happy with who you are in your skin, but yet from a health aspect, we know it's not good for you.
Well, but that's the thing. I think, and this is totally a personal opinion based on stuff, but like if you look around at the grocery stores and the commercials and all this stuff. Like, when was the last time you saw an advertisement for a salad? Right? When Applebee's comes up on the commercial, what do you see?
Yeah, all the good stuff.
All the good stuff, right? And now, don't get me wrong, like if you're in the health world and you're conscious, like your algorithm, the RAS that we talked about the other day, is going to pick up on all the other commercials because they exist on social media. But as a culture, we have pushed to an extreme the palate, right? And so if it doesn't taste good, it's not good. Right? If it doesn't make me feel good, it's not good. And a lot of us rely on food now as like that serotonin boost.
Oh yeah.
Right? To where like we eat, like comfort eating is to an extreme now.
Yeah.
Where it's not just like we eat because it's good, it tastes good. It's like we eat because we need that boost in serotonin. And a lot of people, look, I'll be fair, like a lot of people, we can say we know all we want. We know what we should be eating. And I say it all the time, like we know what we should be eating and what we shouldn't be eating, or what we should moderate, right? At least.
Yep.
But it's so convenient not to, because every turn you make, everywhere you look, something is being pushed to get you hooked on whatever it is. Right. And that's an extreme in our dietary culture. And on the complete flip side of that, I'll go both sides, is the supplement industry, right? You talked about being judged and all these things. Like the average person tries 126 diets in their lifetime.
Yep.
Why? Because the second you start being health conscious, the algorithm kicks in and you start seeing this diet and this supplement and that supplement. And okay, now you're talking to other people about it. Now your circle is expanding into the people who talk about this stuff, and they're talking about all these supplements and well, I tried this diet and I tried this diet. And it's like, oh, and then you got the other side sitting there trying to, push you to that direction where it's like, stop, you don't have to give up any of that stuff. And it creates all this conflict in you. It's like, we know here's my question always, right? What is the goal? What is working and what is not working? How is that working for you, right? Because I'm not, and we talked about this beforehand, like I cannot justify sitting here and fat shaming anybody, right? I don't care if anybody's overweight. I will never think any less of a person for being overweight.
Right.
Never.
Right.
I don't judge you for that.
Right.
But where do you want to be? Right? What are your actual goals? And so when you talked about getting more health conscious and like you wanted to lose some weight, that was a goal for you. Right. And so you went out and you did the things necessary to do so, while also understanding that I like to have a cheeseburger once in a while, but I'm going to go out and eat the things that I need to and forget what everybody else says. Oh, you're going to question me changing my diet now, or, oh, you're going to are you sure? Right. Like all these things, like you just got to push that out. But at the end of the day, it's how's that working out for you? Right. Because if living on either end of the spectrum of this whole argument is working, then by all means keep doing it. I don't really care.
Absolutely.
Right. If you think working out 7 days a week for 8 hours a day is what's good for you, cool.
Right.
Go for it. If you think being 600 pounds, eating McDonald's like supersize me every single day, and that's working for you and you're enjoying life, cool. More power to you. I don't really care. Right. But if you're sick of trying a new diet every 4 months, or if you're sick of going to the gym 7 days a week for 3 hours a day or whatever it is, right? Like question, is this working for me? And am I just feeding into some extremism that other people are telling, like other people are writing this script for me, right? And a lot of it comes down to like family too, like our upbringing, the people we keep around us, right? I know families, like hopefully they don't watch this, but I almost hate going to family dinner sometimes because of the food culture.
Sure.
It's so extreme.
Right.
On one end of the spectrum that I don't really agree with. And it's hard to be around that stuff because it's so normalized, but that's not for me. For them, totally okay.
Right.
But like, that's what I'm talking about is like, are we just going to follow in line? Are we just going to conform to whatever extreme that circle that we're falling into? Or are we going to step outside the box a little bit and really question what it is that we're doing and then do something about it?
Right.
You know?
Right. Well, and I'm on board with all that. I think the part that I think is amazing with this topic and the extremes is first and foremost, if you're comfortable with who you are, more power to you.
Who cares?
Whether you're jacked or you're overweight or you're extremely obese or whatever, if you physically are comfortable And you can look in the mirror and say, I love that guy. I love that girl. That's all that matters. Don't care any other way. And it's like you said, to judge someone based on that, it's, the whole, judge a man by his character, not the color of his skin, and, Martin Luther King stuff. It's like, okay, that's great. But what I think is awesome or stupid or extreme or all the above is
a lot of different words.
How the American society has taken over from a capitalistic standpoint and just said, okay, keto came out 10 years ago, and everyone said, okay, eat lots of fats and eat lots of this. And then all of a sudden this industry just took off, where now you go to any one of the supermarkets and there's keto bars and there's keto this and keto. Like, okay. And is it really keto stuff? I doubt it. It's probably just said the most keto thing about the food that they have there is the word on the box. The rest of it's just a bunch of horseshit chemicals. But we buy into it as a society, and we say, oh, okay, I'm going to go keto, and I do this for 6 weeks and I lose 25 pounds, and oh my God, you look amazing. Okay, great. But how long does it stay? I put the 25 pounds back on. I did this, that, and the other thing. And I guess where I take this is what I'm learning now in my young 52 years on this earth is it's really about a plan. Like, I stopped eating like I was going to the electric chair. Like, I looked at what my food was. I looked at what I was jamming in my face, and it wasn't that it was a bad kind of food, cheeseburger, whatever it was. I was having a lot of it, like shitload. And then I'd just sit on my ass, or I'd wash it down with 6 beers. And I'm realizing that, I didn't need a diet. I didn't need some extreme stomach stapling surgery. I didn't need, I'm going to say it, I'll get in trouble, Ozempic to get me some pill. It was like, I just needed some type of exercise, at least 30 minutes a day. And my calorie intake needed to be less than what my burn was, or at least even to what my burn was. And it's like, it's not that hard, but I don't know that people have that mental fortitude to say, okay, if I don't go to the extreme, I can't just do this simple. Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. And I mean, there's a lot to that, of course, and being in the industry, like, I see this a lot, but we have to understand that food has become an addiction.
For sure.
And so
I love it.
No, but it's literally designed to get you addicted to it, right? Like, they go through testing processes to make sure that what they are producing is the tastiest, most mouth-watering thing that you can possibly have,
right?
To make sure that it does to your brain what it wants to do, and so we can sit here and say it's not hard, like, in theory, and I talk about this all the time, like, hard versus complicated, right? It's not complicated. We understand calories in versus calories out. Like, that is the science of it. End of the day, nothing else matters when it comes to losing weight or gaining weight.
Right.
Right. But it's not easy. It's like telling a drug addict, like, only have one hit.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, that's all you can have. Mm-hmm. I remember there was another trainer that told me one time, it's like, you wouldn't give a crackhead you wouldn't tell him to just take one hit. Right. So why would you give a food addict just one cookie? But like, we've become so, well, if I have one, then, forget it. I'm just going to have all of them. Right. Because that's okay too.
Right.
But like, it's not easy. And I totally get that, but then there's this other point that you made, and I want to follow it for a second, because one of the other sides of this is that we have on the extreme, from the extreme aspect, right? We have started to red flag anything and everything. And what I mean by that is, like, if you go on TikTok or Instagram and you start scrolling through these things, every type of oil is bad for you. Every type of water that's not this water is bad for you. You remember the egg thing? Like, for the last 50 years, they've been debating on whether the egg yolk is good for you or bad for you, right? Like,
yeah, it goes every 5 to 10 years.
Every 5 to 10 years. Well, okay, this type of B12 is good for you. This type of B12 is bad for you. And you can't eat this, but you have to eat this. But if you eat this, you have to find this product. And it's so, like, it's all this, like, these extreme views. And it's like, you can't eat this anymore. You got people going through the grocery store where it's like, they take every box off the shelf. And it's like, you can't buy this $5 box of cereal because it has X, Y, and Z in it. And this is going to kill you.
Right.
You're going to die in like 3 years if you eat this every day.
Yeah.
But this $20 box of cereal, see, look at these ingredients. These are just ignore that one. We'll just bypass that one because it has this other 10. Right. And it's like this fear thing where it's like we're scaring people to like eat very specific and cut out all these insane things. And that's like, I watch this stuff and I'm like, these people are ridiculous. They're literally doing what the people that they're fighting against are doing in a totally different aspect,
Sure.
right? Like fear of fitting in, fear of dying because you ate the wrong B12.
Right.
Or you had folic acid instead of methylfolate, right? And it's funny because like I watch this guy who has a lot of information, but like he plays off the fear in people, and it's just insane. Like nobody's dying from that stuff overnight.
But that's a great point there. It's the marketing against the fear. It's like literally everything turns into a business. And you get sucked into it. And I think that this is the part, like when you say like social media and these kids and they, the fear of missing out and, I have to be the extreme of this and I have to be that and like, okay, if parents just sat there and said, okay, here's what we're doing. They're going to bring the things into the house that are good to eat. And they teach a child. And trust me, I wasn't raised in a way that diet was okay, you need to eat well and you need this. We didn't grow up with much money. So it was like whatever food was there was the food we got.
Right.
And when you started making a couple bucks as a kid, what did you do? You went to the deli or you went to the convenience store or whatever, and you bought chips and snacks and Little Debbie's and whatever. So you never really learned the diet plan. But where I'm taking this is business and entrepreneurs and a capitalistic society. We look and say, how can we make money off of this? How could we turn this into something and then market it towards people where it becomes the norm? And we all know what we're supposed to do. You said it before. We know what we're supposed to eat. We know we're supposed to get exercise every day. But man, there's this new energy drink out right now that gives me extra energy so I can boost this and I can boost this. But yet I need a glossary or a hooked on phonics book on how to pronounce the ingredients that are in it. The only ingredient I can pronounce is water, because it's got to be made with something. But it's like, but this will give me the energy to exercise. And this is my pre-workout, my boost, and my this and that. And again, it's just more money of, I sold it to you and says, this is the secret cure. And this is going to give you the next thing, or don't worry about it. Or so I don't know. I can kind of rattle off, but I just think everything's an extreme. There's no set middle ground. And like I think you said before, the middle ground is getting smaller. It's either you are far left, crazy extreme workout psycho lunatic, or you are far right. Okay, I'm not going to do anything. I'm morbidly obese. And it seems like it just goes to both sides.
Well, and if you look at the statistics over time, like it is, right? If you look at the statistics on both sides, it's one or the other. And I'm not saying there isn't a middle ground, because there is. Right. It is. It's just as time goes, it's getting smaller and smaller. And you don't have to be obese necessarily in these statistics.
No.
Right. Like just not being active. Right. A lot of people now, life has gotten to this point where we are required to do less. Why should I lift weights? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then we totally ignore. And then again, the extreme side of it is like, we know lifting weights is good for you. For your bone structure, for your muscular structure, for longevity, for vitality, all these things, right? But if you're not in the know of that, if you don't have that in your algorithm, you ignore it.
Sure.
Because it's not something that you see all the time.
Right.
Right. A lot of people still don't know that having higher muscle mass reduces risks of Alzheimer's and reduces risks of type 2 diabetes and prolongs life and all this. Like a lot of people still don't know the science behind that stuff because they're not in that circle, right? It's not necessarily their fault. We talked about not having the information before, and I talk a lot about personal responsibility and accountability and all that stuff. But at the same time, like we have to remember with the marketing side of things, like it is down to a T.
Sure,
right? The people that have any inkling of not wanting to do that kind of stuff will not see it.
Never.
Right.
Right.
Because they're so overwhelmed with everything else.
Yeah.
But, there's like, that's both sides, and it's just, I don't know. It's crazy. The supplement industry and the fast food industry are both just killing it out
Well, it's
there.
convenience. Again, everything is
killing it.
speed to happiness, or speed to a full gut, or whatever. Like, the supplement world is a supplement world. Why do you take supplements? Because it's supposed to enhance whatever it is that you're doing, and it'll bring you to a level faster. Could I work out for the next year and just eat chicken? I could. But I could also add creatine. I can also add amino acids. I could also add this. Before I know it, I'm taking 35 pills a day and eating shakes and everything, because now I want to get to my destination faster. And then we have the what do we call those things? The where we don't feed ourselves. The
fasting.
The fasting.
I fast.
Now we have all these studies that if we do fasting, and let's go on a 4-day fast where we say don't eat for 4 days, and it cleanses you, and it this, that, and the other thing, and go on YouTube and type in fasting. It's like, holy shit! Like now we have this study that shows just don't eat. Okay. And how often? Or only eat one meal a day, because that's how our ancestors did it. And okay, that's awesome too. But our ancestors also, lived in a hut and couldn't find food. So it's like,
it's my favorite argument.
Right. I mean, but that's where I like watch all this stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, what is just normal? Is there a normal?
Well, okay, so dude, nail the point here. If you look, I said people try roughly 126 diets in their lifetime.
Right.
Most of them are different diets. How the hell are there 126 different diets? Right. But like, you look, right. And of course I'm in the industry, so my algorithm is always popping up with all this different stuff. You got fad dieting is always an extreme. It is always an extreme. And I can pull up the stats. It's ridiculous. But what ends up happening is, oh my God, the carnivore diet comes out. I believe this guy. It did all these amazing things for him. I'm going to do it. Balls to the wall for 6 months. And then I'm going to fall off. I'm not going to sustain. Right. And then we'll go back to talking about having a plan here in a minute. But same thing with keto. Same thing with paleo. Same thing with intermittent fasting. Same thing with all this stuff. The constant is that people try these things. Sometimes they're effective. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes people don't do them long enough. But it's like, oh, this is the next thing. Like, right, I need this. This is going to get me to my results faster and quicker. And what ends up happening, this is the downside of this, is keto works, paleo works, intermittent fasting works, carnivore works, veganism works. Right? They all work. If they didn't work, they wouldn't be marketable.
Right.
Right. But the sustainability for them, nobody really cares. Nobody thinks about that.
Well, ride the wave as long as you can.
And I told you about the sustainability of fad diets and how ridiculous it is, and people still do it.
Right. Because
it's easy, it's quick, but there's no plan. And this is where I go back to having that plan. It's like, if you don't have a long-term plan, you're going to fall into one of these sides of the spectrum even easier. And we talked about this the other day. Like, if you're easily distracted, you're easily manipulated, right? If you're easily judged and all this stuff, like, if you feel that, like, you're going to be easily manipulated.
Yep.
And so if you're trying to get healthy, you're going to be manipulated by the supplement industry, who makes $223 billion a year for absolutely no reason.
Yep.
There is a handful of supplements that have good enough science behind it that's recommended generally.
Right.
I'm talking on one hand, you can count them.
Right.
But yet there are supplements for everything. You go into the vitamin shop, thousands of products. For what?
It's all on how it's marketed.
And the funny thing is go look at any of them and try to find, and I'm not going to sit here and talk about the FDA, but none of them have approved by FDA.
Yeah, they don't have to be.
They don't have to be.
No.
They can put whatever the hell they want in there.
Yep.
Right. And this is a big argument with the supplement industry. Like, they can put whatever they want. And it's the same thing on the other side, like the USDA and food. Like, they only have to meet certain requirements,
right,
to make it eatable for people. Right. So,
no, I get it.
But it's, yeah.
I think going back to the fad thing too, and this is the part that I love, why we get so sucked in, because we want to get to a size or a shape or what we believe is how we're supposed to look. And I think the latest craze right now that I've seen on TV, maybe I'm already past it because I don't really pay attention to what's going on, but is this coffee craze, this coffee diet. Yeah, I guess this is the new things with all the celebrities. And so as you were sitting there saying, and I looked it up, and it says, what is the coffee diet? And here's the stupidity of this.
Is it the coffee enema?
No, it's just drink coffee.
Okay.
Just drink coffee. In the short term, caffeine can boost the metabolism rate and increase fat burning while we reduce caloric intake. So if I reduce caloric intake, I'm going to lose weight. Well, no shit, Sherlock. And now I add coffee to it. So, okay, so the caffeine boosts me, and everyone's saying this is a craze. And I think J-Lo, Jennifer Lopez was on this. And if I'm wrong with that, I'm sorry, Miss Lopez, because I don't know who the hell you are or whatever. But my point is, like, okay, I'm going to drink coffee a lot and reduce my caloric intake. And everyone's going to say, oh my God, it works. I got one for you. I just made it up. I'm going to drink fruit punch all day long. That's all I'm going to drink. I'm going to drink fruit punch. And I can guarantee you, like you just said, keto works and paleo works and veganism works. Well, guess what? Kool-Aid works too.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I can lose weight just eating fast food.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that, right? They're like, no. I'm like, yeah, like calories in versus calories out. And
Right.
and I love that because it's so stupid. Like that is so, I hate seeing that because it's like, well, you drink coffee and you're in a calorie deficit, like calorie deficit, right? You know what happens when most people try a diet?
You get hungry.
Well, no, here's what happens. Well, yes, they get hungry. But because you start doing a diet, right? It's easier to follow rules than it is to just wing it. But what happens is you start eating keto, you start eating paleo, you start eating any of these things, you start being more conscious about what you're consuming.
Right.
You almost naturally go into a calorie deficit. So yes, of course they work. Right? Like, why wouldn't they? If you're trying to lose weight, that's all you need is a calorie deficit. Now, health is a total different thing, right? Health is a total, like I see people eating keto and all they eat is bacon and cheese.
Right.
That is not healthy. Right. But that's like the extreme that a lot of people take it to, you know, but they're still going to lose weight, you know, as long as they're in a calorie deficit.
Right.
So like we're not trained to see those things and actually think about it. We just say, oh, J-Lo did it. Whoever, now I'm using her name and you got me messing up. I don't even know if it's her, but you got somebody who you think is an authority doing it. Like, well, it worked for them. I'm going to try it.
Well, it's again, it's the convenience of something that if it worked for someone else, it's going to work for me. And like I use my wife as a perfect example. Most women would want to look just like her. Just like her. She's ripped, she's shredded, she's in shape. When you look at her arms, they're tight, you know, da 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 da. But if they realize what she does to get to that, and Maria loves it. That's who she is. She loves working out. She likes controlling her diet. She loves that. But if I would tell you 99 out of 100 women would quit after the second week and be like, I tried. I just can't keep this pace up. Well, it's become a lifestyle for my wife where other women would walk in and go, nope, can't do it. So what's the next best thing? It's got to be something easier. It's got to be something where I don't have to work out so much. And there's got to be something where I can just, hey, let's eat a pill. Hey, let's just eat bacon and cheese because I'll lose all this weight. And that's the next part of it. And I've just learned this is diets are awesome because they work. But what people don't realize is you're not necessarily losing fat. You're losing muscle too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you lost 35 pounds, but you're thinking, well, yeah, I feel emaciated. Like, yeah, because you didn't freaking lose fat. You were killing your muscles. Like, okay. So do they learn? Nope. Look, the scale looks awesome. I'm that much lighter, so I must be in better shape.
Well, that's the social pressure side of it, right? Like I have to weigh a certain amount, right? And I feel like women fall into this more visibly, right? They're more open about feeling this way, but men feel this way too. But like, as long as the scale number is moving, you said it perfectly, right? As long as the scale number is moving and I'm in the target range of weight that I'm supposed to be in to be an average person, right? Which I absolutely hate to begin with. Like, we're
average.
We're literally striving to be average,
right?
But as long as that weight's moving, we don't really think about anything else. And, there's a term we call certain people who only do cardio. It's like the cardio bunnies, right? And it's not that I'm making fun of them. It's that, I see all the time where cardio is the quickest way to lose weight. You go into a calorie deficit, cardio is easy. You get on the treadmill for an hour a day and you lose weight, right? But what ends up happening is months go by, you lost the weight, you plateau, you're still puffy, right? And soft, right? You've lost weight, but you're soft,
right?
You have no muscle mass because you burned all your muscle,
right?
And people we don't know that, general society, because that's not the stuff that's on here when we first open up. It's just like, no, you have some influencer who's saying you have to do 45 minutes of cardio a day because this is how I got my body, and we all want to fit in. We all want to look good like everybody else, right? Except for the other extreme, right? Which we already talked about. But the people who follow into this, it's like, we have to look like her. So we have to do what she says, right? Regardless of how extreme it is. And then we do it and then we get the results, but we don't get the results that we want. And so we yo-yo and we go back and forth and then we follow the next influencer and we do these things. And like, when does that stop?
I don't know. You just brought up with the average and the norm. I was looking this up the other day for myself, and the whole BMI and the body fat percentage and blah blah blah. So I was looking up for myself, my age and where I'm supposed to be according to the norm, and it said that for I'm 6'4". I think this morning I was 256, and people are like, "Oh, that's pretty good size for you." Whatever. If you go to the charts, the ideal weight for my size is 195 pounds.
Dude,
I would have to lose 60 pounds. Like, imagine me 60 pounds lighter. I don't know if I could stand, but it's saying that is my ideal weight, 195. Like, where the fuck do they get these numbers from? That 195, if I lost 60 pounds, people would probably bring me to the hospital.
Look, yeah, I am totally on board with that because mine is like 176. I'm 220 right now. Right. At 6'1", I'm 220. I feel pretty good, but like even at my best, like I'm talking fucking ripped, I'm at like 195. 190 maybe. 176. I've been in the 170s before and I looked disgusting. Right. I was going through a really rough patch in my life. It's the only reason I weighed that little, but like I looked disgusting. Like I was skinny, I was weak, I was all this, but like, yeah, where did we get that number from? I hate the BMI. I'm on the scale of BMI. I'm like borderline, like
obese.
Like I'm borderline obese. Like I'm overweight for sure. Right. And it's like, dude, no, like it's so funny because we look at stuff like that and we take that into consideration. It's like the weight thing. It's like I weigh 220. I weigh more than most people my size. My not my size because whatever, but my height and my age. But like that weight doesn't actually mean much of anything to me.
Yeah. Here's the funny part when you say that, like how many people have been in or are on a diet and your loved ones now see you and you go, "Oh, you're too skinny now."
Oh my God.
Like I'm too skinny. Like what the fuck? Like I'm too skinny. Like I've been working my ass off. I've got myself to what I'm not at my BMI according to, CDC rules or the health, the government dumbasses, but I'm on my way down. And this has happened to me quite a few times. Like, oh no, you're too skinny. Like what?
Well, I think we confuse with being skinny as I'm being uncomfortable.
I think other people are uncomfortable.
But I'm just saying like people think that losing weight is uncomfortable. Like that's part of the extreme.
Right.
And then that's why I was talking about like the dietary culture earlier. It's like, you're starting to lose weight. Like, are you okay? Like you like, are you starving yourself?
Yeah. And going back to listen, I am an all or nothing personality with everything. It's why I don't do drugs. Because if I did, I'd be a crack addict on the side of the road. It's when I walk up to, and it's the worst thing for me, even to this day, if I go to a party and there is a line of appetizers on the table, I won't make it to dinner. I am stuffed because of the amount of cheese cubes and shrimp cocktail and chips and dips and buffalo chicken dip. Watch out.
My God,
I will destroy it. But I will eat to that extreme. Well, now I'm trying to say, that's ridiculous, dude. Stop. You can't have 5,000 calories in appetizers before you even got to the meal. But I'm noticing that family members who loved when I came over because they were so excited that I would just fill up and eat up on all their stuff. And they were like, oh, we love when T comes easy because he just enjoys and he drinks his beers and he da da da. Well, now it's the opposite. Like, oh, you're not going to eat that? Like, no, you know what? I'm just trying to maintain and I'm trying to be more health conscious and like, oh, like I've personally offended them.
Yeah.
So, I just made a choice for me. and sorry, I'm going to probably have a couple carrot sticks and I'm going to have some buffalo chicken dip, but I'm not going to have half the bag of the chips and the buffalo chicken dip. And I'm probably going to forego the 87 cheese cubes with the pepperoni slices and all of that because I just don't want to feel like shit. But they look at me like, oh, hey, I bought beers. We got your favorite beer. Like, yeah, I'm not drinking today.
Are you better than me?
Well, no, but it's even that. It's like, no, I made a choice for myself because I felt like dog shit. And now you're offended by me. Like, what? I didn't do anything to you. I just chose a different way of living my life.
Yeah. And that's the plan, man. Like that's the like a lot of people just don't have a plan when it comes to this stuff.
It's all about a plan. And I set my plan. The question is who's trying to knock me off my plan subconsciously?
Yeah, well, but that's the thing. Like the people that are trying to knock you off subconsciously, like when I'm on my plan, right? If I'm meal prepping and I'm focused and all that stuff, like I don't care what you're doing.
Right.
I'm focused. We talked about this the other day. Like when I have something to focus on, like nothing you do or say like is gonna take me off the rails because it doesn't matter.
No.
Right. But like all these people, like their plan is literally just being comfortable, being accepted, not being judged. And if they're going to be judged, it needs to be positively. Being seen as good enough in the eyes of other people, right? And it's like with the food thing, I've had this happen where people are like, I'll say, no, I don't want any more. Like, I don't want seconds. People are like, are you sure? Are you sure? How was it? Like, are you good? Mm-hmm. They're like all the little comments like, yeah, like I just don't want seconds, right? But for them, it's this comfortability thing. Like, oh, my food's not good enough. Oh, he doesn't like us or like sitting down and eating with us anymore, or he's better than us or whatever it ends up being, right? Like it's this idea of discomfort for some reason.
Right.
When we no longer, people don't like change. Right. And that's what I'm starting to realize about this whole topic is like people don't like change. And when you start changing, it makes them uncomfortable.
And that's what it is. And I think that's kind of the culmination of this discussion.
They don't want you to leave.
And this is probably all of it, and it's coming to me now. This is all of our discussions in each one of these podcasts is we worry more about everyone else and how it makes us feel that we somehow subconsciously push out our personal beliefs, hoping that we can convince them that what we're doing is okay too. Meaning, like you should eat the stuff tea and you should do this tea and you should stop. And why you look too skinny, you should eat more. And like, but I'm not coming up to you and saying, hey, you should stop stuffing your pie hole or hey, you should stop working out, you freaking psycho. You go to the gym for 5 hours a day and you're this, that, and the other thing. Like, I think that's the extremes of where we're at. Dude, if you want to go to the gym for 4 hours a day, like I joke with you and your crazy ass Spartan races, if that fucking rubs your nads and that you love that shit, that's awesome. Do it. And I will show up to your races and cheer you on. Inside my head, I'll think that motherfucker is nuts. But enjoy that's so awesome that he did it. And the same thing, if you think coffee is the greatest way of losing weight, awesome. I'm going to back you up. I'll even buy you on it. I think that's the hard part for me in all this is like we've become this judge in the Olympics where we get to hold up a card and a number for everyone that walks by us, and we feel like we have to tell them what's right or wrong or what's this. If you want to come to me, I mean, I'm a consultant and a coach for a living. If you want to ask me my thoughts, I'll give them to you. But I'm not going to readily slam you with I think the way you're running your business, you're an idiot. Like, it's your business. I have no idea what's going on in your head and your business. And yet we do this. If you want to go get your stomach stapled, more friggin' power to you. But please, this is where internally, I'm never going to say it to you. If you're going to get your stomach stapled and then you come back and you shove Hostess cookies and cupcakes, it's like, I'm a little confused right
I
now.
don't think we learned anything.
It's like washing your car and then pissing on it when you're done. Like, I'm confused. You washed your car and then you're going to stand up and piss on it. Like, it's both sides. So I guess
I would have gone off-roading, but yeah.
Off-roading, but pissing sounded so much better. But my thought is this: yes, there's extremes. If you want to follow the extremes, follow them. But the sadness is, if you had a plan, if you looked at it and says, this is my goal and this is what I'm looking to achieve, and I want health and I want to reach this level, and that level may not be at a Rip Adonis, and that level may not be, you may be a little bit soft and have some curves and whatever. It's like, well, if you want to follow that plan, but why are you so worried about what someone else thinks? If they open their face, and I have this quiet demeanor about me on the inside of, yeah, I really don't give a shit. Shut the fuck up. I don't say that out loud. I just allow you to talk and go, okay, that's good.
I do.
I know you probably have that same thing.
I think a lot of this comes down to like validation, right? You made that point where people want to justify doing what they're doing. Right. So like if I'm overeating and you're not, by me saying something about like, I want you to eat more too, because then when you do, it validates what I'm doing. Right. Or if I'm a fitness fanatic and you're not working out, then like I need to justify what I'm doing by making it normalizing it, right? And the way to do that is to make sure that other people around me are doing it too. Right. And it's the quickest way to validate what I'm doing,
Yeah.
And to be judgmental, to do these things. Yeah, of course. And it just makes sense.
Right. But I think that's the part, and hopefully the conversation here is find something that's going to help support you. The extremes are the extremes. Everything is going to work to a level that we see movement. But when it comes down to it from a just an overall health, maintain a standard and things get better. Like you said, calories in, calories out. You bring them in, you burn them. Well, there's a happy medium. If I put 50 logs on a small campfire, it's going to go out, or it's going to take a long time to get raging again. But if I put enough on it, it burns and it burns and it stays hot. And in this instance of what we do as a society is we always go to the extreme because we want the fastest effect possible. Whereas if you just maintained a daily, I guess, curriculum of activities of food intake and burn and everything else, things get better. But to worry about what Sally thinks of us or Bobby or whatever, like, let it go. I think that's we're so worried about other people and how they're going to judge us or view us or find your inner peace, follow your path, and fuck everyone else.
Have a path.
Have
Have a destination.
Right.
And I think that's like one of the biggest things here is we just go through, and on both ends of the spectrum, we want to feel good, so we overeat. We want to feel good, so we take the supplements to lose weight fast, right? One way or the other, right? But we don't actually have, if we had a compelling enough destination, we would put in the work to do whatever it takes to get there, right? But we want the quick fix. We want to feel good now, right? Because we don't actually have a plan. Like we don't have anything that we're actually striving for. We just want to fit in and not be judged. We want to take the stories that we've created in our heads and justify them, or make sure that they're not real, or whatever. Or not validate them, right? Because some of the stories that we tell ourselves are fucking horrible.
Yeah.
But anyways, right? So like having that destination, having that plan, and then doing whatever fits that plan. If you're more concerned about partying and having fun and enjoying life and doing all that stuff, that's cool, man. I know people who do that until they die, right? Have a blast. Cool. If you want to, accomplish some other goal, just have a plan. That's it. Just have a plan and forget what everybody else thinks or says about it, because none of it matters.
Yep.
Unless it is pushing you towards that goal, it doesn't matter. It doesn't, because they are not on the field with you.
No.
Period. If they're not playing the game, they're not on your team. Right? Like, why would you give them any weight for what they say or do? Right? And you can't do that unless you have a plan.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to fall into all these extremes. You're going to fall into all these marketing ploys. You're going to get taken off and distracted. And we talk about this, the shiny object syndrome, because we both have ADHD and all this stuff, right? But like when you have a plan, it's much less likely for all that stuff to happen, right?
Right. So, all right. Well, let's then end on that note in the idea of this. You want to follow a fad diet, follow a fad diet. I can tell you right now, it ain't going to work. It'll work for a period of time. You want to, pop a million pills and do all this stuff. Again, everything takes time. So if you jam the pills in your face, do whatever. There's enough on YouTube. There's enough all over the videos on the internet that will give you a set plan. And I think that's the point of this thing is follow what you think is best. And know that you're going to get there over time. The extremes are the extremes. As fast as you can lose it, you're going to put it on just as fast. You're not going to put on muscle overnight. I don't give a shit how many pills you take and how many steroids you take. Just follow a plan. And I think that's what we're trying to do here is lose the extreme, be comfortable in your own skin, enjoy the hell out of life to the level of whatever it is that you consider enjoyment, and just call it a day. Like, that's it. So
that's it. Simple as that. The other thing that you need to do though, right, is make sure that as you're watching this video, you hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell down on the bottom or wherever it is on your screen so that we can engage, because we want to hear your comments. We want to hear what you got to say about all this stuff. We want to have further conversations.
Right.
We want to know how this is helping or prohibiting or whatever. We want more engagement.
That's it. So leave us a comment too. Tell us what else you guys, what fun things you want us to talk about. We got a couple of topics here that people have asked us to go through. So we'll do the research. But we do this for you. Have a super great day.
Bye.